We're going to shift gears here and talk a little high school football, and in fact, we're going to talk a little 3A football. The Brock Eagles have been one of the more remarkable stories in Texas high school football over the past few years. A program pretty much starting from scratch. Their first varsity year was back in 2014, just last year, and they killed it, going 12-2, and they may be even better this year. And with that, we are so happy to be joined on the phone by the head Eagle himself, Chad Worrell, the coach of the Brock Eagles. Coach, how are you?
Doing good, Greg.
Hey, thanks for hopping on with us. You are obviously on the ground floor of this Brock building. When you got there, was there a sense for you immediately that there could be something special this quickly?
Well, just coming into the community, with as much success as they had in other sports, that's one thing that drew me to the job. But, to say 5 years ago when we came in and started at the junior high level, we were expecting this soon would be a stretch.
They have been excellent. You went 12-2 last year. You guys are now 9-0 on the year, heading into Week 10, which should be fun once you get to the playoffs. You guys don't have any pedigree to fall back on. I mean, that's just the bottom line. That's not an insult. It's just the truth of the matter. So when you guys got to the playoffs last year, what were you telling your kids when they're going into what was the first playoff game in school history?
They did a great job last year just staying grounded and really approaching each game no differently than the one before. I know that's a cliche, but take it one game at a time, treat it like any other game. But our kids really did a good job of that. They had been around, even though they had not been in a playoff football game. They had been around state championship games in basketball and baseball and volleyball, and so the setting, the scene of the playoffs and things of that sort, it was something that wasn't too big for them. I mean, they'd been around it a lot of their lives, either as players in other sports or fans rooting on their team. So they just do a good job of staying grounded and approaching each week kind of with an even keel.
We're talking with Brock head coach Chad Worrell here on DCTF Live. Get involved in the conversation at hashtag DCTF Live. The undisputed leader of your team right now is your running back, Letty French. And what a superstar he has really emerged in being. From the time that you took over to now, how have you seen him mature and change as an athlete?
Oh, he's just, he's always been that hard-working kid that you could give the ball to in that situation when the game's on the line. And over the past couple of years, of course, as he's matured, he's gotten stronger and faster and done just a great job. Letty is he kind of gets, I hate to say lost in the stats sometimes, but, we have two 1,000-yard backs currently, and Letty is easily a 2,000 to 3,000-yard back if he were the only back on the team, but we're able to spread it out and have other guys who can tote the mail when they need to, and so because of that, sometimes he kind of gets lost because his stats aren't up there with some of the other people.
Coach, I got to tell you, that's pretty selfish of you to really rob him of his stat lines. It's just, I don't know what you're thinking.
Tyler Gray and Seth Bowman may disagree. We've actually got 2,000. We've actually fortunate enough to have 2,000-yard rushers at this point in the season and a 1,000-yard passer. So,
well, and that's one of the reasons that you guys have been lighting up scoreboards across the state. But of course, the other side of it has been arguably even better. Your defense has just been lights out all year long. You've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 shutouts on the year, and a couple other games where the team only scored 7. What has been the key to your defensive dominance this year?
Well, our kids play hard, and I think that that obviously that's number one in our program is that when you get on the field, you have an opportunity to play. You play hard, and we play with the kids on defense that play hard. We actually going back to talk about the offense, we really don't have any two-way starters. We spend time on the offensive side of the ball. We're fortunate enough to have enough skilled kids to be able to do that. And then that leaves them fresh to play defense full time. So we feel like that gives us an advantage over some other people.
We're talking with Chad Worrell, the head coach of the Brock Eagles here on DCTF Live. Coach, last year you guys go into the playoffs and kind of you were the new kid on the block. Quite literally, you were the new kid on the block making your first playoff appearance. But now you could have used the argument last year that you were sneaking up on people. You're not sneaking up on anybody this year. Has that changed your mindset or what you're telling your team going forward?
We've talked about it, a little bit, and it just goes back to the point of, being on some teams previously that had some success. I mean, you'd always rather have the target on your back than be the team sneaking up, because that means you've had a good season the year before. It means you're bringing back a good number of returners, and it means that you're having success this year. So, even though that we are a little bit more well-known this year, we're absolutely not sneaking up on anyone. We'd lots rather be in this position than we were than on the other end of the spectrum. So,
now you've already locked up a playoff spot. You've already locked up the district championship in District 4 3A D1. At what point do you start looking at the bracket?
Well, I mean, obviously, with as tough as it is to get playoff sites in that first round, that started maybe a week ago, and we start taking a look and just kind of seeing, where we may fall and where other teams may fall at that, and just kind of going from there. I think most coaches in the state do that. If you don't these days, you're left out dry without a stadium in that first round.
Yeah, then all of a sudden you're playing in your backyard, and you got to figure out exactly how to seat all those people who want to come see you.
Right.
And I'm interested in hearing, Brock has you mentioned their great athletic history. This is a town that has always been dominant in basketball. They've had those things. So with football, how have you seen the community respond to this team with what is basically a brand new sport in town?
Well, I'll tell you, it's been overwhelming, the support. I mean, the town support that we get it's second to none in all the places that I've coached before, and even though there were some people, back in the last 10, 15 years that weren't in favor of bringing in football to Brock, once we got the program in place, they love winners. And they jump on board. They've all jumped on board, and they've really rallied around the football team, and it's been a great experience over the last couple of years.
We're talking with Coach Chad Worrell of the Brock Eagles here on DCTF Live. Coach, one last question. One of the stops before you landed at Brock was Hamlin, and Hamlin is home. Max, you know where I'm going with this?
I do. Go ahead.
Home of the Pied Pipers. And I am interested to hear what it's like to be the head coach of a team with maybe the best mascot in the state.
Hey, it was a great year there. That is a great sports town as well, great football town, community. If you went to the games on Friday nights and have ever been a part of a Hamlin football game, then you would think you were in a 3A or 4A school. And so much tradition, so many great coaches have come through that program and helped build that tradition, and it was an honor to be there and be the head Pied Piper for a year.
But if you how do you tell your kids we're going to go out there and fight like Pied Pipers? I mean, with Eagles are fierce, you know what I mean? Yeah.
You know what I did when I first got to Hamlin was I didn't change the mascot, but I called the graphic design artist and told them I wanted them to design the toughest Pied Piper they could, aka like the Incredible Hulk, and that's what they did for me.
He is Chad Worrell. He's no longer at Hamlin. He is the head coach of the 9-0 Brock Eagles, soaring into the playoffs. Coach, best of luck the rest of the way, and with any luck, we'll see you at NRG Stadium.
Thanks, Greg.